Hello. In today's video, you will be learning about the distributive property of multiplication. The first thing you need to do is divide your paper into 3 sections like shown here. Okay, so in the first section, we need to talk about what the word distribute means. To distribute, when it comes to multiplication, just means to separate or to break something apart. Here we're going to be distributing one of the factors in a multiplication fact. The distributive property says that we can distribute or separate one of the factors and the final product will stay the same. This goes in your first section. Now we're going to see a couple of examples of how the distributive property works while using an area model. So make sure you have your grid paper ready. Your notes right now should look like this. Okay, so the first thing I need you to do is to cut out a piece of your grid paper that shows the multiplication 6 times 5. That means 6 rows of 5. Once you have that glued, now we need to label it. Here I can see that I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rows, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in each row. This shows the multiplication of 6 times 5, and if I go through and count all of them, I can skip count each row by 5. That tells me that the product here is 30. Now, like I said, the distributive property says that I can distribute or separate one of the factors. So here I'm going to choose the factor 5 to separate. I'm going to separate it right here. So now 5, I have it separated into 3 on this side and 2 on this side. Now get another piece of your grid paper that shows the area 6 times 5 and cut it right down where I showed the line right there. You should have 2 pieces like the one shown here. So we went from this whole piece together to the distributed pieces that we show right here. Now if you notice, my 6 rows did not change. I still have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, because the 6 was not the factor that I distributed. The 5 was. Now I have 1, 2, 3 here. This first piece shows the multiplication 6 times 3. Here I still have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rows, and 1, 2 in each row. This shows the multiplication 6 times 2. I know that 3 plus 2 equals 5. Therefore, my factor didn't change, it just got separated. I still have 6 rows with 5 in each row. I just separated those into 2 separate pieces. If I add them together, 6 times 3 equals 18, and 6 times 2 equals 12. Once I put those back together, I can see that my product actually didn't change. My product here was 30. My product here is 30. I just separated the 5 into 3 and 2 instead of keeping it together. And that's all that the distributive property says, that we can distribute or separate one factor and the final product stays the same. So your notes for this part should look like this. We should have all the pieces glued. Now on the last section, I'm going to show you one more example. Okay, for this example, I'm going to represent the multiplication fact 4 times 7. So you're going to need a piece of grid paper to show the area model of 4 times 7. 4 rows with 7 in each row. Okay, once you have your piece glued into your notebook, now we can start labeling it. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 rows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in each row. So this is showing that 4 times 7 is equal to, and now if you can go ahead and count all the squares so you can find your product. Once you've counted all of them, you can see that your product is 28, because 4 times 7 equals 28. So now again, I have to separate or distribute one of the factors. I can either distribute the 4 or I can distribute the 7. Here I'm going to choose to distribute the 7. I'm going to separate it right down here. So now I have 3 on this side and 4 on that side. 3 plus 4 equals 7. So my factor hasn't changed, I just separated it. So now again, you need another piece that models 4 times 7 so that we can separate it or distribute it right where I showed. So now I should have 2 pieces that look like this. Notice that my 4 rows have not changed because I didn't distribute the 4, I only distributed the 7. So in this first piece, I still have 1, 2, 3, 4 rows, and I have 1, 2, 3 in each row. So this is showing the multiplication 4 times 3. On the other piece, again, I still have my 1, 2, 3, 4 rows. Now I have 1, 2, 3, 4 in each row. I have 3 on the first one in each row, and I have 4 on the second piece in each row. Again, like I said, 3 plus 4 equals 7. My factor hasn't changed, I just separated it. So this one is showing the multiplication fact 4 times 4. Once I put them together, it'll be putting the pieces back together to model 4 times 7, and it should give us the same product. 4 times 3 equals 12, and 4 times 4 equals 16. Once I add them together, that gives me 28. My product of 4 times 7 is 28, and my product of 4 times 3 plus 4 times 4 is also 28, because all I did was separate my factor, I didn't change my factor. Okay, so your notes should look like this. Now what you're going to do on the left side is practice your own multiplication fact using the distributive property. On the left side, I want you to model the distributive property for 5 times 8. Notice that I'm not giving you the product because I want you to use the area model like we just did right now to find the product yourself. Make sure you have enough space on your grid paper to model this 5 times 8 and then show the distributive property of 5 times 8 just like we did right now. Remember that this is on the left side of your notebook. Have this ready and be prepared to discuss. Thank you.